This episode is brought to you courtesy of the Long Rewind podcast. Check out the Long Rewind on this very same podcast platform. Welcome back to another episode of 1980s Now, a weekly examination of the importance of 1980s pop culture and its influence today. Hey, my name's Will. Joining me, as always, are my friends and co-hosts, Kat and John. Hey, guys.
Hello, guys.
Hey.
And hello to everybody joining us live right now on Facebook and YouTube, because we record this show live every Wednesday, well, many Wednesday, an occasional Wednesday from 6 p.m. at 6 p.m. Eastern. Come join us. You can chat and comment, and we'll include your witty. If you're smart or witty, we'll include you in the show. If you're just a jackass, we got that part covered. Hey, on today's show, we're going to talk about a number of current news stories related to 1980s media, including Joe Pesci was afraid to do one of the Home Alone stunts. It's probably most surprising. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, right?
Just one?
Because there's tons. I did take a look at a list. There are over 25 traps that Kevin sets across the two films. I don't want to spoil any of them for John, but I do have a few that I want to point out when we talk about this. You know what's funny?
That's right. This is all spoilers for him.
Yeah, now I'm telling you, I was just watching some clips and I thought about sharing them, and I ultimately know. Because John should watch these movies. They are perfect for him. They are so, the slapstick, the fact that he loves Warner Brothers, Looney Tunes, to see it, for me, I can't wait till they get to the scenes with the traps because they're so over the top. We're also going to talk about how Eddie Van Halen's virtuoso guitar solos anticipated a contemporary problem in the music business. Hey, the Terminator, he said he'd be back, and finally he's back with a new video game. And just like the T-800 himself, it's retro, which makes it particularly exciting to me. In the end, we got Jesus, you just can't with this. You can't turn on the news anymore. I knew we'd hit this age, but some of these folks are just being taken from us.
This was not an age thing.
Rob Reiner. I'm thinking about Rob Reiner and his wife were tragically killed. Jeez. We're not going to talk about the gruesomeness of that, but instead I wanted to focus on what I learned about in many of the different tributes that I've been doing. I did learn how the ending of When Harry Met Sally changed. And I love the ending of that film. But it was because of something that happened to Mr. Reiner while he was making it. I think that's pretty cool. Plus, I want to ask the question raised by the film itself that, as a young person having seen this, sort of just weighed on my mind. I remember this for years, certainly after it. And probably probably before I was actually, dating my wife. Can men and women be friends? Do you remember that? That sort of became so trendy to wonder that, once that film came out.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know that I had heard that or pondered that otherwise. I was still a fairly young fella, so.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, we're going to get to that in just a moment. But first, I want to let you guys know. Look, John, come over here, buddy. John, right here. Just look. There you go. Straight ahead. Okay. Hey, I want you to let you guys know that I just chatted again with my friend Dustin Morrow on his podcast this time. He was with me a couple of months ago. But I went on his podcast, which is called The Long Rewind. And this is the guy who you'll remember, guys, because,
Yes.
I didn't mean to denigrate you. Is that the word? And pointing this out, but
what were we, ding-dongs or screwballs or what?
But
what did you call us?
I don't know.
Knuckleheads?
I think this is all
knuckleheads.
This is just
knuckleheads.
I wasn't denigrated. I was marginalized. I wasn't denigrated.
I don't know if any of that's true.
Is that better? I don't know if that's better.
I don't know words. But Dustin, unlike us, he's legit. I'll throw myself in there. He's an Emmy Award winning filmmaker. He's a best-selling author. He's a programmer. He's a podcaster. And he's a tenured professor in the School of Film at Portland State University, where he teaches film studies.
Wow.
So I just appeared on his show where he, of course, look, this is the perfect guy, right? I mean, John beat me up pretty well, challenging my 4 criteria for whether something's a Christmas movie. Dustin wanted a shot at it, so I went on his show. And he was, he was prepared.
Whoa.
So got to check that out. We talk about a number of the different films that folks have, proposed as being Christmas movies. And whether or not my criteria is even appropriate. So, that's The Long Rewind. Check it out. It's available right now everywhere, including this podcast platform you're listening to right here.
Hey.
All right. Hey, that's it, right?
That was it?
Yeah. I mean, that's it before we start the news.
Oh,
okay.
Okay.
Right, look, since you're here, let's talk about 1980s news. Here it is. All right. Hey, this week on 1980s news, we learned that Joe Pesci's 9-year-old convinced him to do a dangerous stunt in the first Home Alone. So, as I mentioned, Kevin McAllister, the character played by Macaulay Culkin, sets at least 25 traps across the first 2 films in which he stars. As we talked about, there's several sequels after that. There's 4 other sequels after that, and he's not in any of them. And they follow the same formula, but they're not as good as the first 2, of course. And he does these in an effort to thwart the villains of the piece. First called the Wet Bandits in the first movie. They're the Sticky Bandits in the second movie. For reasons.
Hey, at least they're not moist, John.
Oh, the moist. Oh, wow. John would have a reason not to see the movie. Yeah. Don't do that lip smacking sound. And followed by the word moist. That's too much. And those 2 folks are played, of course, by Joe Pesci, whom I mentioned, and Daniel Stern, the great actor Daniel Stern. Here's just a couple of them, John, to give you an idea. And you did allude to some of these a couple of weeks ago when we talked about this. Paint pots. They swing paint pots at them. Or Kevin does. Hits him in the face, knocks him off a staircase. More than once. They up the ante in the second movie. Instead, he swings a metal column. Looks like you might use to jack up a wall or something at them in a similar fashion. Yes. He electrocutes Daniel Stern's character. Yeah. While he's being electrocuted, Kevin turns up the voltage.
This could be it's time to play game. Like, I'm going to list 3 methods of booby traps, and you determine which 2 were in the movie, which one was not.
Johnny,
right?
I screwed this up, John. You're right.
Like, what else? Like, I know there was like an iron, because I know somebody gets an iron in the face, a bowling ball at one point.
Yeah.
I do believe.
There's, well, they're climbing, they're using a rope to shimmy across from one 2-story place to another 2-story place. He cuts the rope, Kevin.
I remember seeing that.
In the second film, where they're climbing up a rope to get up like a 3 or 4-story building, he sets the rope on fire, so the fire is coming down at them while they're trying to climb up. Now they have to climb down as quickly as they can. But John, it is to hilarious effect. I promise you. And look, you've got at least 19 others, right, or so to look forward to. But yeah, one of the most sinister ones, though, comes in the first film when Pesci's character attempts to first enter the titular home that Macaulay Culkin's character is protecting. He triggers a blowtorch above his head, which just completely consumes the top of the the top of the toque that he's wearing. And I've got to say, it is one of the most convincing stunts in the film. We clearly can see Joe Pesci there. And in spite of that, and being an era mostly pre-CGI, I had assumed there had to be some kind of practical trickery, forced perspective, some kind of matting where he wasn't really there to protect the Academy Award-winning actor. I would never have suspected he was actually standing there when they turned a blowtorch on. But I was wrong, it turns out. Because although they took precautions, it was in fact him receiving the full fiery blast.
That is crazy.
By the way, Flaming Toque, great name for a band.
Oh, yeah. Hang on, let me get that down. Flaming Toque. Oh, it's taken.
Oh, no.
Oh, but Flaming Toque 009 is available.
Let's move on. That's not going to cut it.
Anyway, look, wisely so, he was not willing at first to participate in this stunt. I don't know that I would be there. I guess like him, I would need certain, assurances. Yeah. The assurance he got came at the hands or head of his 9-year-old daughter, who convinced him to do it in the most daring way. As part of Home Alone's 35th anniversary celebration, director Chris Columbus and star Macaulay Culkin sat down for a conversation at the Academy Museum where they revisited the movie's production, its legacy, and a few stunts that were way more intense than they looked. Speaking with The Hollywood Reporter, Columbus explained that the flaming cap gag nearly didn't happen at all because Pesci wanted nothing to do with it. Columbus recalled, quote, "When we offered it to Joe, he said, 'There's no way I'm wearing that fucking thing.'" End quote.
Go ahead, Kat. You are thinking the question I want to ask, so please do.
Okay.
So he's not okay doing it. Why, in any scenario, is he okay with his daughter enduring this? What?
Yeah.
Hey, before you set me on fire, you set my daughter on fire.
Yeah, right.
What? How's that better?
Did she come running out? Look at me. And it was too quick for him to react.
That looks dangerous. Where's my daughter at? Go get her. Put the toque on that girl. Let's see.
They found the most expendable guy on the crew. Okay, listen what you need to do. Get Joe Pesci's daughter and stick her under this cap, all right? And then when I give the signal, pull this cord, okay? All right, boss.
Right?
It had to be, right? Because, it seems like the implication, at least based on what I read, is he wasn't aware. He was surprised because it doesn't seem like under any conditions he would agree to that. Yeah.
It's all just ridiculous. Look, I've already said I don't think it's safe.
Mm-hmm.
So doing it to my kid is how you're going to convince me?
Yeah.
Oh, well, you didn't kill her. I guess I'll do this stuff. No, I'm going to punch you in the throat.
Yeah.
Quit setting my daughter on fire.
He's one of those guys who you think he's exactly like how he is in the movies, right? So I wouldn't fuck around with Joe Pesci.
No,
Right.
no.
Way. I know. I don't know. It's not clear how they got her to do it. But it was
crazy.
But it was the idea of the producer, Mark Radcliffe. He's the one that came up with this crazy solution. But sure enough, they put the stunt team put Pesci's 9-year-old daughter in the fireproof hat and set her head on fire. Of course, it was under controlled conditions. And that convinced him it was safe enough.
I know ultimately it was safe. And I'm sure it was his own just hang up with it. Yeah. But I just can't with this. It's like, under what circumstances is he okay with this? Yeah.
Right. Maybe you start with another crew member and say, okay, look, this guy's not on fire. Okay, look, the director, Chris Columbus, see, I'm not on fire. I'm doing it. Mm-hmm. What will convince you? Could we try your daughter? No, you just go straight to the daughter. It seems ill-advised.
Yeah, I wish I could recall, because I do remember other stunts for other films where the director did it to show the actors that it was safe.
I've thought of that. Yeah, I couldn't think of an example, but I've definitely heard the same stories. Yeah.
Anyway, he was safe for the moment, because as I mentioned at the beginning of this, like many of the sequels, Home Alone 2 sought to up the stakes of the predecessor by riffing on previous gags. And so with regard to the first film, when Pesci's head gets set on fire by this blowtorch, he runs outside of the house. He's barely in it to begin with. And much like Tote in Raiders of the Lost Ark, he just dives headfirst into snow to put his head out. In the second film, Pesci's character, once again, as he's attempting to invade the home guarded by Culkin's hero now, his head is again set on ablaze. This time, however, he's inside this home that's being renovated, so it's kind of gutted somewhat. And Macaulay Culkin, that character, he anticipated that. John, this is why the second film's even better, because the kid thinks of these things. He sets Joe Pesci's head on fire in a bathroom, but he has the water turned off. So when Pesci goes to the sink to turn the water off, nothing happens.
Sure.
He only, the Kevin character, only leaves the toilet filled up, which I don't think it even has a lid on it or anything. Pesci dives headlong into the toilet, like straight vertically down. And what he doesn't know at the time, the character, of course, is that Kevin has replaced the water with kerosene. So he just explodes.
You won't believe this. I was literally just thinking, too bad he didn't fill the toilet with kerosene.
Yeah.
I wish I'd said it. I was waiting to not interrupt you. I swear I almost said, too bad they didn't leave him a bucket of kerosene in the toilet.
John is like a grown-up Kevin McAllister. John, you would love these movies. I'm telling you right now. These gags are so fantastic.
Right. You're convincing
And the rest
me.
of it's heartworming, sort of what happens. Yeah. Anyway, with regard to the real person in that played this character, Joe, I don't need that. Joe Pesci this time.
Is there a cut with just the funny stuff?
Yeah, you got to skip about 45 minutes in, maybe 65 minutes in. This time Pesci wasn't so lucky. However, he told People magazine in 2022 that this stunt caused serious burns to the top of his head.
Yeesh.
Where was this kid?
Where was my daughter?
She could be the stunt double.
What else? Oh, yeah, I did want to mention this because I mentioned there's a number of sequels. Well, during the panel that I just mentioned, Columbus also weighed in on those, saying that, sorry to insult anybody, but they've completely fucked it up. It started with Home Alone 3, and it just went downhill from there. Home Alone 3 is sort of the best of the bunch of the bad movies.
That's how Kat's mom describes me on the show.
The best of the
bad ones. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Wait a second. That means we're worse, Kat.
Oh, no.
Thanks, Mom.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Let's see. Brandon says that the trap with the nail, I still can't read these things. The trap with the nail still makes me cringe so bad. Oh my gosh. That's the worst one. Yeah.
Does somebody step on a nail? What was the Quiet Place? She stepped on a nail when she wasn't allowed to scream. And I'm just like, I screamed on her behalf in the theater.
Yeah.
Stepping on a nail I cannot abide.
The rest of my family is always like, no, is the nail gone? Is it done? And I'm like, bring on the nail. Speaking of psychopaths, Mark says Kevin, the little psychopath, was just waiting for someone to cross him.
Are you implying Mark is a psychopath?
No, I meant me wanting to.
You said, speaking of psychopaths, Mark says.
Both, yes. I meant me, but yes, Mark too. Marcus says flaming what? Flaming toques. Yeah, a toque. That's what they.
So what is a toque?
Oh, it's a little.
I think he wants to know what a toque is.
It's a beanie.
Yeah, it's a snow cap.
the little cap.
Yeah, that in Canada they call them toques. Ted says Gen X was built different. I guess with regard to setting the traps, and also asked though, was this the prequel to the Saw movies? Sort of. Yeah, I guess so. Sort of. John, I am so bummed that I didn't do the trap thing, that game that you thought of.
What a great idea that would have been.
That would have been a great idea.
Yeah.
We could still do it.
Well, I don't.
Some other time.
No. Yeah.
Go.
Well. Yeah.
That's all right.
Go.
All right, but that does make me think though that once again it's time to play.
Christmas, Theo. It's the time of miracles.
All right, I do have a game for you though. I'm just going to crowbar in here. All right. Hey, this is what I got for you guys today. I don't have the game that John suggested, but I found this was interesting because I'm researching some Christmas time things. I learned that not all of our favorite Christmas movies are called the same thing in other countries. So what I have here is some of the titles for some of our favorite Christmas movies. And to be honest, I may have stretched the definition of Christmas. I mentioned my list. I mentioned my criteria earlier. There may be some on here that don't necessarily qualify as Christmas, but certainly holiday adjacent, if in the very least. I'm going to give you the translated, and I'll tell you what language it was translated from. Name of a movie, and I want you to tell me which of our holiday films I'm talking about.
Oh, this sounds fun.
All right, let me get my coin to flip, Kat. Let's see it. Oops. All right, Kat, you call it heads or tails?
Tails.
All right, it's heads. All right, just Johnny.
Oh,
goes first.
John.
All right, John. Here is yours. Mom, I missed the plane.
Home Alone.
That's right.
Gotta be.
See, didn't even have to see.
Yeah, you're right. That's good.
Oh, Mom, I missed the plane.
Because I have seen the scene where like they're at the airport and like oh my god the tickets and where is Kevin? That's why
Kevin.
So otherwise,
when you see the movie, you'll know why I keep saying that whenever we talk about it.
Yes.
All right, Kat, this one is for you. This one's called A Fine Mess. All right, and Mom, I Missed the Plane, by the way, is the Italian translation.
Okay.
Kat, yours is translated from the German. The name of this film is A Fine Mess.
Oh, no.
Fine Mess. And if you have an idea in the comments, which of our favorite Christmas movies, mostly from the 80s, I think. They're all from the 80s.
Okay, a holiday adjacent movie where there's a mess, a fine mess.
Well, that's at least what they called it in German.
Mess.
Yeah.
Could it be Gremlins?
Oh, I'm sorry. Have a guess, John?
They make a mess.
Want to guess, John, before you go?
Yeah, I'll try it. Let's see. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Sorry. We're looking for Christmas Vacation. Christmas Vacation.
Oh.
Don't buy it. Bad translation.
Yeah. Well, that's part of the gimmick here. Is, some of these are. Some of these translations are
ridiculous.
strange. All right, John, this one is for you. Okay. This one is called from the French, and the translated from the French, it's Festival Phantoms. Festival Phantoms.
Scrooge.
That's it.
Nice.
Hey, John, you're good at this.
Yes.
Found your.
As long as they're my questions. I'm not good at Kat's questions.
Only yours.
All right, Kat. Translated from the Portuguese, the name of this 1980s holiday or Christmas adjacent film, at least, is Bloody Christmas. Bloody Christmas.
Oh, so it's a horror movie.
Not necessarily. These are weird translations.
Just guess Gremlins again.
I could guess Gremlins again. There's blood involved, I'm sure. But what's the one? I've never seen it. Silent Night, Deadly Night, something like that.
Yeah, that's one. Is that what you're guessing?
Okay, is that it?
That's right!
Yay!
There are probably several that would qualify for the bloody whatever. Because there are lots of horror-y, Santa-y movies. Yeah,
it could have been Gremlins. I agree. That's pretty gory at times. All right, here you go, John. This is yours. It's Action Skyscraper, translated from the Norwegian.
Seriously? This is not fair.
Pretty well. It's not Gremlins. So
Action Skyscraper.
Wait, say trains, planes, and automobiles again.
No. I'm going to do Die Hard. That's got to be. It's the tower, right? Nakatomi?
That's right.
Please be right. Thank you. Okay. If it's not, I'd be like, what? What else? What are you going to call Die Hard then if you already spent that?
Good.
What language was that?
That was translated from Norwegian.
Did you pick a different language for each of these?
There's doubles. I mean, yeah. I ran out of languages at some point. You know why? Because some films, because we're talking about films from the 1980s, they weren't shown necessarily in other countries or didn't make it,
Right.
A lot of them mostly are, that's why I think also they're mostly European countries, where we probably had our best sort of, relationships as far as pop culture and media.
Probably plenty of plots in movies that just wouldn't play in those other places. Be like, why would he be doing this? And your culture is that different.
Yeah.
I could see why you wouldn't even bother, right?
Yeah, and actually in some of them that did play over there, they just translated precisely to the same thing. So I was like, well, I can't. Yeah. That's silly.
Yeah.
All right, Kat, it is your turn, and yours is translated from the Italian, An Armchair for Two.
An Armchair for Two.
Is Kat getting all the hard ones?
I think so. I have no idea. An Armchair for Two?
John, you got a guess?
No, I'm gonna jump onto mine. I have no idea. I can't imagine.
Looking for Trading Places. Trading Places.
Really? That's how?
But
how?
What?
Maybe in what is this Italian? Armchair is signifies luxury, maybe, or wealth, and the fact that both of these guys are, I don't know. I have no idea.
In the movie, I've seen the movie. Is there an armchair that could fit two people?
And they each have their own armchair because they're rich.
Oh, that's true. I don't know.
Right.
I don't get it.
All right.
Weird.
All right,
okay.
John.
Fortunately, that was Cats. Okay.
John, from the Finnish. The translated title.
So we're finished already? It's done?
No, we're midway.
Okay.
But translated from the Finnish language, this title for this 80s holiday or holiday adjacent film is Quickly to Chicago. Quickly to Chicago.
Quickly to Chicago.
Yeah.
So it's got to be, it has to be one that has travel. So I'm going to go with planes, trains.
That's it.
Trains, automobiles. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, Christmas, it's more of a Thanksgiving movie. I guess it's a Christmas movie, but it's a holiday.
It's adjacent.
Yeah. Let's stretch it a little bit.
Okay.
All right, Kat, yours is translated from the French, and the translation is Santa Claus is in prison.
Am I going to be really embarrassed when I say no? I don't know because I can't think of anything to fit that.
Yeah, if you didn't see this movie, you might not know. Got any guesses, John?
I can only think of one movie where Santa is in jail or any kind of custody.
Yeah.
Well, it must be that then. What is it?
I'm going to say Ernest Saves Christmas.
That's right.
Oh, I never saw that.
Interestingly, Ernest P. Worrell, before he became a big deal, when he was just doing all those commercials for different things, where I grew up in Central Florida was one of his main places. He was working out of there, and there were stations in our area that he did ads for. So I saw all of his, home repair and paint and insurance and all these when he did ads. They were in my local. Like I could drive down to the place that was advertising with Ernest P. Worrell. It was in my town. Somebody was using it in my demo. And so I thought he was a local guy for years and years and years and years until he showed up in the movies. I'm like, how's this guy from the commercials on the movie?
Yeah. Hey, Vern. Oh, I love that guy. Yeah, he was so funny. All right. Let's see. I got two more here, and it's John's turn. John, your next one is translated from the German. It's translated as Two Steely Professionals. Two Steely Professionals.
Again, I'm just trying to narrow it down from the available information.
Yeah.
With an armchair built for two.
Yeah, that could have been Trading Places too, right?
Yeah, see, I like, but we've taken care of Trading Places now.
Did that.
Okay, I'm going with Lethal Weapon.
That's it!
Oh.
Yeah, Steely Professionals.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I see it. All
right, Kat, we got one last one for you here.
One of them too old for this shit. It also is a subtitle.
And finally, Kat, yours is translated from the Portuguese. The translation is Made for Each Other. Made for Each Other.
Gremlins.
Could be casting a wide net just to get it in there.
Well, I was just today reading something about When Harry Met Sally, so that's in my head. Is that it?
That's right!
Yay!
Now that covers a number of different time periods, but it culminates on New Year's Eve. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
There you go.
The armchair for two would have fit that too.
And they are sitting in a chair at the end when they do that thing interview.
Yep.
Oh,
see?
Yeah. Well, there you go.
That would have fit there.
Crazy foreigners.
Oh, that was fun.
Brandon says, not movie related, but I saw in the news minutes ago that Last Christmas by Wham has dethroned the Mariah Carey bullshit as the best pop Christmas song. Well, who gets to say that though? I mean, that's fine, I guess. Yeah, I learned something new too, and I almost wanted to talk about it today, but anyway. It's not really it's not a contemporary story, but that the Pet Shop Boys song, what is it? The Elvis cover they did. Always on My Mind. That actually came out at the end of November in 1987.
That's right.
And it dominated the charts. I think it was number 1 for like 4 weeks in December, throughout December. So it's essentially the best Christmas song of 1987 in one sense. It was also, though, however, up against that album that came out, what's it?
A very something Christmas.
A very special
Christmas, yeah. So,
very special
very
Christmas.
special Christmas.
So, yeah.
Yes.
So I think I don't know. Well, what's the point of that? I don't know. Whatever. I'm trying to connect with Brandon.
It has all the cool fat marker artwork on the cover.
Yeah, was it
whatever that guy is?
Keith Haring?
Actually, it was Keith Haring. Yeah, Keith Haring did the.
Is that? Yeah. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm sure Will went to school with him.
No, I didn't. But John, remember, we were in his town, the town where he came from, remember?
I do.
Remember? And we met somebody who knows somebody who went to school with him?
Yes.
Yeah, it wasn't me, though.
Of course.
But I know somebody who did.
enough.
Yes, all right, whatever. All right.
Few degrees of Will.
Next in 1980s news, as reported by Parade Magazine, the 80s music boom revealed a problem the industry has today. One of the things that this article points out is that if you were alive during the 1980s, you can recall shredding guitar riffs. I mean, so many songs that had guitar solos in them. And I think we could say, look, they began certainly before the 1980s. The guitar solos and music solos generally were something, as old as rock and roll itself, or old as music itself, because certainly other genres of music have solos as well. Anyway, with regard to the guitar solos, though, even though they were excessive and unforgettable, the innovation of them caused a problem, or at least revealed a problem in the music industry. Because according to a journalist for Parade Magazine, Nina Derwin, what she posits is that Van Halen, which was, of course, led by the guitar virtuoso Eddie Van Halen, look, it's indisputable. He was one of the biggest, rock stars of the 70s and 80s. He dominated. And because he was known for that very specific, just genius, explosive guitar solo, it impacted the way other musicians played. And forget about rock music for a moment. I bet somebody, some teen or somebody in your life, a kid down the street who suddenly wanted to play guitar. I know a bunch of people like that, and my cousin in particular is a genius musician. He's like a multi-instrumentalist, and I would say probably equal to Eddie Van Halen on the electric guitar. So that was happening, in bedrooms around the world. For the music industry, they were now looking for other musicians to do this because Van Halen's music was a huge success. Well, according to Steve Stevens, the former Billy Idol guitarist, once Van Halen's sound was commercially successful, that's all they tried to do. The industry tried to repeat again and again, saying, quote, record labels were signing anyone who could tap and shred. And
Giggity.
Happy birthday. The result was an era that was filled with technical brilliance, but you essentially had, one song after another that became more like the last one. And this journalist argues that by the 1980s, many bands were chasing this sound, which made it harder for, truly revolutionary acts to break through, which is ironic because Eddie Van Halen was revolutionary. And that's the reason we got stuck with this, sort of all these imitators. Well, cut to today, Durbin argues that it's a pattern that we're seeing again now. Where again, record executives see whatever the next quote unquote Van Halen is right now on a streaming platform, et cetera. Once you're doing well there, get me the next whoever, and they just imitate that sound. And I like the way she puts it here in this article, saying that when innovation slows and repetition takes over, audiences move on. So it becomes sort of a, I don't know what the word is, not self-fulfilling prophecy, but you wind up doing yourself in, because you put all this music out that's the same. And she argues this happened with rock and roll into the 90s. And then we had grunge and some other, variations on a theme that broke out. People got bored of hearing Van Halen and Van Halen Light. And that she contends that's going to happen today. Whereas you got folks just trying to imitate one artist after another. It makes it harder for folks to break through. But once the audience moves on, it opens up these opportunities. So as she ends here, says is that it may achieve short-term success, but at a cost. I
don't necessarily disagree with the premise of this article, but I find it to be a little bit narrow in scope, a little myopic. And here's what I mean by that is like, I don't think it was a problem with the music industry. I think the 80s was when pop culture became a thing. And so now there was a zeitgeist that people were chasing. Because Johnny Cash was popular. Why don't we just find the next Johnny Cash? Well, they didn't do that. We didn't think of musicians or even culture like that or music like that. Why not find another Elvis? Why not go make another Beatles? Well, no. But if we, let's make another boy band. That was definitely happening in the 90s and 2000s. So I think it's more of the music is one symptom. The cause really is the origination of a culture that recognizes here are trends. Mm-hmm. So following trends, I don't think is just a musical thing. In movies, definitely follow trends and repeat that. Music does, certainly. I think probably in books as well. Now that we know what's a bestseller, let's write another. Well, a pirate book did well. Let's write a pirate book, Yep. Whereas probably in the leading up to that in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s, certainly had great music and great artists, but everyone didn't know about everyone. And music and record executives weren't overrunning and calling all the shots necessarily to want to replicate success. Right. So I think really it's all that the article is entirely accurate, but it's not just music. I think it happens because in the 80s is when we created the idea of here's what everybody likes. And it was true. And so you repeat that. That's make money that way,
I guess I was thinking kind of along similar lines. Maybe it's not a problem. Maybe it's just this is the natural rhythm of it. It's, like there's a trend and we kind of do it till it peters out and then we find the next thing. So something does emerge. Maybe for some people it takes a little longer than some other people would like. But maybe that's just the natural rhythm that is going to happen now.
And isn't it human to want to mimic what you see is successful and that you like?
Yeah, it's probably
because it works.
It's an innate survival mechanism. I mean, I guess probably on a base level.
Sure.
Well, the saber-toothed tiger didn't kill him when he ran up the hill. Let's all run up the hill, right?
Let's all do that.
So in a sense, it's also capitalism. What do we have to do to survive as a business or thrive? I saw that guy do it and he got out okay. Yeah, that's true. I guess, to your point, John, you're right. And thinking about, it just across all industries and Kat, whether it's the natural rhythm or not, unfortunately for folks, and I'm going to put 1980s now in there. Let's put Gen X grown up in there, the podcast, not the YouTube channel. That's huge. But folks that try to do something different have to compete with everybody who's the same, who just takes up, the space, the noise, Right now, as you guys know, I finished my novel months ago and I've been reaching out to literary agents to pitch it. But right now, because romantasy and romantic, and romance novels just generally are huge, and horror
that's
also.
The thing.
Most folks are just, if it's not that, I don't want something else. And so you
lower risk.
Yeah.
Right.
So if you've written the next greatest American novel, as that the old adage goes, it may never get out there because of it.
And that is a problem. You're right. Can something original get out amongst all the popular noise?
Now that said, I mean, in a sense, it presents it. I'm only trying to look at it a more optimistic way for myself, because the things I try to accomplish, like the book, for example, is it creates an interesting. And I imagine John thinks about this every day. And I'm not being facetious. It's an interesting challenge to find that little sort of trench to get to the exhaust port. Like, what can I do to get through this defense system? Yeah. And it does lead to maybe innovations that are able to break through. Like, for example, recently, Kat, I had a friend of ours say to me, why don't we turn the book into like a serial podcast, like a fiction podcast where we get actors and act it out. And it's going to cost a fucking fortune to do that. So, but that could be the kind of thing, that where folks, and I was reading how folks who do independently produce audiobooks get attention and later get agents and publishers because they've already, created an audience in that sense. So it's kind of a fun, interesting challenge if you're up for it, to try to break through those defenses, which become defenses for innovative artists, which are otherwise maybe stepping stones for folks who are willing to just fit in. Yeah.
Whenever I'm talking 80s pop culture, I'm like, you notice they're not making How Green Is My Valley 2. Yes. There's just entertainment that came pre-pop culture. Yeah. Even films from the 70s, like name a franchise that came out of Star Wars, right at the end of, I guess, right? So, sure. Which was, but like things that were pre that kind of pop culture ennui sort of thing, like they didn't spark the general population's consciousness to want to see more and more and more of it. They liked it, but it never occurred to them, let's copy it and do it again. Or if it did occur to them, they didn't have the wherewithal to do it, and it wasn't a sure thing. They were also willing to do other things, even if they were trying to copy. They weren't. They didn't stop. They would have bought your book, Will, is what I'm saying, right? In the 60s and 70s.
That's
because
probably,
we'd like to repeat this fantasy and romance, but if we can't, well, here's a good book. We'll do that. It wasn't to the exclusion of everything else, I guess.
Yeah. And we do think of the 70s, at least with regard to film, right, as more of an auteur sort of led, era where, you get Star Wars, which becomes a blockbuster, but it wasn't because he built it to be a franchise. It was because he was doing something innovative at the time. And so many other films that are not sci-fi. You're right, John. That's why we do have I'm just saying what John said in a different way to make me sound smart, of course. That's my move. That's why we had so many unique films come out in the 70s. You're right. It wasn't until 80s we get the blockbusters, which is kind of part of that. Obviously, it's part of that same phenomenon.
Yeah.
Franchise is formulaic.
I see Marcus in the chat says, I forgot Star Trek, but I said Star Wars, which was copying Star Trek. So I kind of included it.
John in the comments says, that's why I don't listen to terrestrial radio. Yeah. I don't know what Marcus is talking about. Strained, emo, raspy whisper chick. Is that Kat you're talking about? That's rude, Marcus.
He was listing
Come on.
things that were over.
Her voice is not strained.
Okay. Yeah. I didn't think she was emo either. Oh, I see. You're right. He's making a list here. Fucking click country and mumble rap. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you're right. Things that are just...
all his favorite genres he's listing.
Yeah.
His favorites.
Mark says Eddie Van Halen doing the Beat It guitar solo in one take is pure magic. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's not even when the problem began already, right? He did that solo because he already had established himself as a freaking guitar genius.
Yes.
Joe says since the 80s, after all the pop artists got signed and people tired of it, the same thing happened with hair metal, hip hop, and grunge. All became commercialized and people moved on. Now it just happens much faster. Hey, that'd be encouraging if it happens faster, because then we could have a turnover and more opportunities to hear, and see and read new.
And less burnout.
Hey, check out our friends over on the Long Rewind podcast. Hosted by two Gen Xers, the show examines the cinema of the 1980s. Everything from studio blockbusters to art house indies, including the critically acclaimed and the universally reviled. And they don't simply wax nostalgic about the films, although they do that. But they also take deep, fascinating dives into the themes of the 1980s as reflected on screen, whether that be Reaganism or ninjas, commercialism or breakdancing. And the series is hosted by experts, Lisa Malinelli, a writer and librarian, and Dustin Morrow, an Emmy-winning filmmaker and professor of film. So pull on your leg warmers, crank up your boombox, and check out The Long Rewind. It's available on the podcast platform you're listening to right now. Hey, next up in 1980s news, as reported by a bunch of folks, including Xbox Era, Techie Blog, and a bunch of others, the Terminator has finally come back. Bitmap Bureau has finally launched Terminator 2D No Fate. Now, John, was this game held up? Because every article seems to imply that we've been waiting for this for a long time, but I don't remember talking about it.
I don't know that we did. And every time it got close, it got pushed.
Yeah.
So I had it on my calendar back in March, maybe. And I was so excited because, we have a segment on the Gen X Grown Up Show called Looking Forward To. And so I put on my calendar things that I'm looking forward to, and it gets within a couple of weeks. I mention it. And every time I went to say, I'm looking forward to it, they'd moved it out by a month or 2 months or 3 months. And then finally, here in December, ta-da, they released it. So yeah, it has been, I've been following close enough to know why it was delayed, but it was repeatedly delayed.
Well, hey, look, I'm glad that it's here, even though I didn't anticipate it. I guess I was spared the anguish.
You were.
But the game expands on the popular 1991 film, which of course is a sequel to one of the great films from 1984, Terminator. But it expands on Terminator 2 Judgment Day, featuring side-scrolling action. That's what got me right there. I just read that and thought, all right, I want to check this out. And you get to play as one of the main characters, either Sarah Connor or her son, John Connor, and the Terminator T-800 as you face Skynet soldiers, and ultimately the T-1000. I do have some, I'm just going to click on a video of gameplay footage here. This looks amazing. I mean, it's a side-scroller, so it's 2D. But the way they've shaded these sprites in such a way that it's a step up from the most, I think, sophisticated looking 90s game I recall. So according to this article, and I think it's evidenced by this, is you see a number of different things. One, you get to play out some of the scenes from the film. And for those listening, we're talking about right there when the T-1000's flying the helicopter after them when they're escaping in the police van. but also according to these reviews I've read, it changes some of the mechanics. So we just saw you're shooting at the helicopter that's chasing you, and then it switched. Now you got to do a little bit of driving. You've got to actually, dodge some things on the highway and then get back to shooting. The helicopter's now caught up.
There's a lot of on-foot stuff, too, where you're walking around in buildings and bad guys are chasing you. And maybe Sarah Connor. I think I saw scenes where Sarah Connor is escaping from the institution at the beginning.
Oh, wow.
And she's fighting just interns in the place. And then later, of course, it's higher stakes. It's actually people fighting, robots and stuff like that. But one of the coolest things I learned about it, I haven't played it yet. It's still full price. I don't want to pay for that much for it yet. But... So I found out that the entire game is meant to be played multiple times, and it can take between like 45 minutes and an hour and a half or 2 hours to finish.
Oh, wow.
A run through.
Okay.
Right. So it's meant, but there are points in the game where you make a decision, and that decision might be what happened in the movie. And there's a second decision that you're not allowed to make until you complete the game and play through it again at a harder difficulty. Like shoot the guy or don't shoot the guy. Well, you have to follow the movie the first time, but then it offers alternate paths that the movie could have taken on subsequent playthroughs. So you're kind of like extending your headcanon for what maybe is happening in the movie. So it's an interesting take. That's why I'm most interested, because what are they doing with the story? Like you can shoot this guy instead of save him. Then what happens? So really cool.
Yeah, along those lines, one of the ones I thought that was really cool, one of those types of pivotal points, as you're pointing out, is whether Miles Dyson gets to stay alive or not. Of course, in the film, he sacrifices himself to help them escape. But yeah, what if he's alive? Where does the game go?
Right.
Yeah, that sounds super cool. Yeah, and according to this, with all these different alternative paths, secret levels, and different endings, you can get over 10 hours of play out of this game going back to, and maybe part of that is just actually trying to solve the levels to get past some of the villains so you can progress the story, I'm sure. Other things included in it as far as the some of the scenes that you'll reenact include the bare-assed T-800 running wild in the Corral Bar, if you remember that.
That scene, they licensed Bad to the Bone to play during that bar brawl scene.
That's fantastic. And actually, one of the things I noticed just looking at that clip, I don't know if it came through, is how cinematic the audio is. This isn't crunchy, 16-bit audio.
Oh.
This is full like dynamic range sound. So I'm guessing now they just straight up sampled George Thorogood and put it in the game.
Probably. Yeah.
That is cool. I love that.
I saw a little interview from some of the developers, and the thing that I came away with, the best line that I heard was essentially, this is the game they wish had come out when they saw Terminator 2 when it first came out.
I love that.
It's the one they wanted to play and didn't exist. Yeah.
Hey, it's $30. It's $30 too much for John on digital. And I get that. Although
about 15 too much for me, but it'll be on sale. That's the great thing. It'll come on sale in a few months.
Yeah.
Hey guys, don't worry about John. He can make a phone call and someone will come into his house and install it on his computer. This guy, he knows guys. He's good. It's $60 for the physical version, and you get and it's available now on PlayStation 5, 4, Xbox, all the Xboxes, the Nintendo Switches, the PCs on Steam, and all that kind of stuff.
Xboxing.
Yeah, I'm going to download it on my PS5 at some point.
Yeah, I look forward to hear what you think.
Yeah. I almost wish I had a joystick for my PS5.
As opposed to a
yeah,
DualShock.
It feels like an arcade game. I should be, button smashing and Look, fantasy wise, there'd be something I could rip and put on my my Raspberry Pi and play it on my cabinet. That would be fantastic.
So one more little nugget. Apparently, this developer is well known for doing games like this and then back revving them, doing a Genesis version, doing a Super Nintendo version. Like a legit real game that could only run on that system, doing demakes of these games.
So with the limitation of those systems,
right?
That's awesome.
Making demakes of these. So they have a history of doing that. So the expectation is, I bet they take this No Fate and do that with this, make these classic console, maybe one or two, we'll see. But, it's the kind of thing, there's been great reaction to this game So if ever they're going to do it for a game, they probably will do it for this one.
Does that mean there's a ROM I can rip at some point? That would be really great.
One day, maybe so. Yeah.
Brandon says, I expected the Terminator game to be like the Retro Realms Halloween and Evil Dead games. Those games are fun, but I'm glad to see this one's a lot more serious tone. Yeah, and of course, those games have a little more simpler graphic presentation, etc. too, right?
Right.
And Mark says, reminds me of RoboCop versus Terminator on the Sega Genesis Mega Drive. Yeah. All right. Oh, and Ted says these style of games are great. Terminator, Marvel Invasion, Karate Kid, and Turtles going with new games with the old look and gameplay. Just awesome.
I like that.
All right. Okay. Hey, finally, in 1980s news, as reported on Biography, when Harry Met Sally changed when Rob Reiner fell in love. Why does this have so many pages to it?
You printed out the ads as well.
It's my... It'd be funny if I read them too, right? Got no money for it. I'm just like a robot.
Yes.
No, what it is as a reminder, I want to also ask this question. Can men and women just be friends? And I've got some scientific answers, maybe. Hey, okay, but back to our main story here. So look, again, as I mentioned at the top here, seriously, tragically, on December 14th, we lost a legendary film director, Rob Reiner, and his wife, photographer, Michelle Singer. I don't want to get into that. This fucking bums me out, man. I got to tell you. We're losing too many people. We lost, what was it, Gil Gerard today, right? Buck Rogers. I mean, it just, look, if we become a show about...
I missed that one.
I'd rather honor these...
Yeah, that was just yesterday. Yeah, this morning.
I'd rather honor these folks for what they accomplished and not spend too much time talking about, their passing. And in that way, we'll honor them, okay? So let's talk about Rob Reiner. Many of us first came to know Rob Reiner in the 1970s on the groundbreaking TV show All in the Family, right? I mean...
Right.
I didn't know he earned 2 Primetime Emmy Awards for that role as
I didn't either.
As Meathead.
I didn't know.
as Mike Stivic, Meathead. But by the 1980s, and I don't know that I put this together right away as a kid, he pivoted to a different role, one that would have a greater impact certainly on many of our lives, that of a film director. I don't remember at what point I knew that was Meathead. That might have been right away. As I mentioned before, my dad was always talking about the sort of meta stuff of, filmmaking.
Yeah, you had that more going on. I can't tell you when I became aware that they were the same person, but I was definitely at least a young adult, and I still had trouble with it. I'm like, you mean what? Meathead? He created this?
I had that moment shortly after Spinal Tap because you see him in the movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Therefore, I'm like, so now I know the director's face and I hear his voice and I'm like, wait a minute, that same Rob Reiner?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, in his films, I want to say that without, you don't have to think of it maybe sort of consciously, but had an influence on our, many of his films had an influence on our lives and certainly our young lives in a number of different ways. I mean, he, just as a reminder, like John mentioned, he had this genre defining, this is Spinal Tap film, which influenced the comedy of many of us and certainly filmmakers, since. Yeah. He directed at least 2 of the the best adaptations of a Stephen King story, including the coming of age Stand By Me.
And Misery, did he do as well? Is that the other one I'm thinking of?
Misery as well.
Yeah, he did.
Yep. I learned about romance from him in different regards. The Sure Thing came out, which is funny to think that Rob Reiner directed that John Cusack film.
Really?
Yeah,
I did.
In 1985. But I saw that at an age where I was first getting interested in girls. And John Cusack was in a lot of movies where it was like, going on these adventures with girls where you kind of fantasize you could do that too. But Sure Thing was one of those. The Princess Bride, was that the first sort of like rom-com fantasy, like a romantasy-com movie that was a mixture of these different elements of comedy, drama, and action and high fantasy? I think so.
Yeah.
But of course, I wanted to talk to you about 1989's When Harry Met Sally, which may be his most personal film, and I'll tell you a little bit about that. But as I mentioned at the top of the show, I remember seeing that. I guess I was 17, 18 years old when it came out. That it did have me. It did. I guess it provided me with an aspirational relationship. First of all, although it turns out it wasn't always going to, but for what happened in his life. But it did raise this question that I was then thinking about in terms of my own life. Can men and women be friends? Because Harry, the character played by Billy Crystal in the film, says men and women can't be friends because the sex part always gets in the way. But it turns out that the original film was to end very differently than our protagonists, which were, in addition to Billy Crystal, was Meg Ryan. Just oh God, America's sweetheart.
Oh yeah.
It ended differently than having them express their love for one another on New Year's Eve. That optimistic ending was a change made during filming when Reiner himself fell in love with his eventual spouse.
I love that.
What a cool story.
So while the film itself, if you haven't seen it, go and see it. Like next chance you get, see it kind of thing. And we're going to rewatch it here at the house. The kids haven't seen it ever. And it's appropriate for so many reasons now, including just honoring this great man. Yeah.
I've seen it. So say I've seen it. For the record, okay?
But it's romance.
Well, that's how I found out I didn't like sappy romance movies. That was the trigger.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
It actually isn't sappy. It's very heartwarming and it's funny. In addition,
it's funny.
That's the thing. It's not a. You guys characterized me in a pigeonhole. It's not that I don't like romance. I don't like when love saves the day.
Okay,
that's
right.
a cheap out.
Oh, I know.
This is a very mature, very well thought out situational comedy romance, which I very much enjoy.
Yeah,
yes.
And it's played in a fairly realistic way. And I think because of this, because it turns out that it drew extensively from Reiner's own personal life, including his crushing divorce from his first wife, Penny Marshall. The way they created this film was he sat down with writer Nora Ephron, who later would be known for Sleepless in Seattle and You've Got Mail. Again, just huge blockbuster, rom-coms that are very poignant and real and,
and clever.
Sappy, but I don't know, not as, is John shaking his head? No. Sappy, but you can endure it kind of sappy, I guess. But he and producer Andrew Scheinman sat down with Nora Ephron, and they would do these. They would share personal anecdotes with her, what it was like to be a single man, dating and trying to find romance. And she, according to Reiner, interviewed them like a journalist would, and then documented these stories where these two gentlemen became stand-ins for Harry and their different anecdotes, and she took the perspective of Sally. Came up with this, just brilliant script, which shows this, the titular couple meeting, at different times over 12 years, having chance encounters. Well, it was during the film's famous sequence at Kat's Deli, that's I'll have what she's having scene.
I don't have a deli.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. John, remember when I said that we could end the show if Kat made a good joke? We could do it. That's it. We're good. Guys.
That was
wrap
a
it
good
up.
joke.
I don't judge.
Stings, don't it, Cat? Happened to me last week. But we later learned the joke wasn't good enough. We're going to continue. So close. So close.
No, do you remember that scene, right? I mean, come on.
Oh, yes.
It's famous for a particular reason, one that Rob later... So in that scene, Rob actually cast his mom. She's the one who says, I'll have what she's having. It's Rob Reiner's mom, and he quickly regretted that. Barry Sonnenfeld, who later directed Men in Black and a number of other great films in his own right, was the DP, I think, on it, the director of photography. He said that Reiner was just sweating profusely during the scene because, according to Reiner, quote, he was directing a woman on how to fake an orgasm in front of his mother.
My friends and I used to always reenact that scene on the playground. It was great fun.
On the playground? Wait, John, how old were you at the time?
John! First, I thought you were going to say you and your friends used to direct people on how to fake orgasms.
On the playground.
No. You used to act out that scene. Oh, my God.
John, I need you.
Great fun.
I'm going to need you to just wait there till the authorities arrive.
Okay.
Oh, my God.
Wait, there's a knock at the door. I'll be right back. Or not. Yeah.
Kind of swatting.
Kind of.
I says to my friends and I didn't go to the playground looking for actors.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Oh, God. Where's my truck backing up sound? We're just going to move out of this.
I'm ending this conversation.
Okay. Now. Well, it was during that scene, that awkward scene for him to be in front of his mom doing this scene.
Yes.
That the future for Reiner and the film would be changed forever. According to reporter Gene Borsaw, I'm going to say, he was a cinematographer. Cinematographer Barry Sonnenfeld, who I mentioned, introduced Reiner to photographer Michelle Singer, who was there who was working on the show. He introduced, I think, Yeah, I think so. I don't know. That's what I'm going to say for purposes of this.
I think she was.
He introduced, Sonnenfeld introduces her to us thinking they'd be a great couple. And so he sets them up on a double date. You know, I guess Barry, and I don't know if he was married at the time, but he goes out with Mr. Reiner and Singer. They go out together. And on that date, per Sonnenfeld, it highlighted for him the pairs, what ultimately would be their blunt communication style. Apparently, Reiner told his future wife, according to Sonnenfeld, quote, "You know you really shouldn't smoke. It's not good for your health." To which Singer replied, "And you shouldn't be so fucking fat."
Not good for your health.
Yeah. So it was this budding romance, it turns out, during the filming of When Harry Met Sally that led to led them to rewrite the once cynical ending of the film. Reiner told Chris Wallace in 2024, quote, "I had been married for 10 years. I had been single for 10 years, and I couldn't figure out how I was ever going to be with anybody. So the ending was going to be the two of them seeing each other after years, talking, and then walking away from each other," end quote. But when Reiner got to know Singer, he changed his mind about love. As Reiner told The Guardian in 2018, quote, "But then I met Michelle and I thought, okay, I see how this works," end quote. Mirroring the new ending, Reiner and Singer were married in 1989, which is the same year the film came out.
Talk about art imitating life. It literally reshaped the art as the life was evolving.
Yeah.
So I guess the original ending was going to be, yes, they can just be friends.
Well, no.
They couldn't even be, well.
They had no relationship.
Right. Because they weren't a couple, they didn't have, they were just acquaintances almost. Well, certainly that's the sentiment that Reiner had going into it.
Yeah.
Whether or not that would have played that way or not, Kat, but I think.
You know, what's interesting to me when I was thinking about this is in the film itself, it raises this question, and in the end, they get together. In the cynical ending, the one that there would have been, I think they have no relationship. He says they run into each other and then they leave. They run into each other after several years and they say, "Hey, what's going on?"
So not even friends.
Yeah. Hey, what have you been up to? That's it. Cool. And then they walk away. Credits. So yeah, not even friends. So I think the answer to his thing is still you either have a relationship or you don't. A romantic relationship or you have no relationship. And I was thinking like in his real life, it's kind of that too, because the woman that he met, that he has this connection with, they wind up getting married. You know, he didn't have this great connection and then they just become friends. Yeah.
Right.
Maybe we'd have got a third ending. Had that been the case where they can be friends and they, I don't know, they maintain this relationship.
But that would have taken a whole lot longer because I think building a friendship probably takes a lot more time. I don't know if they could have come up with that one.
That's interesting.
With that change.
All right. Well, we're going to talk about that in just a second, I guess. Let me see what Brad says. All in the Family was depressing. He did so much more with Stand By Me. I still watch When Harry Met Sally. Yeah, I don't think I got depressed by All in the Family, but it did confront serious issues in this, humorous way, often crass way, which was groundbreaking in and of itself.
It reminded me of the house I grew up in.
Yeah.
The only thing depressing about All in the Family is how well they lived on a single income.
Oh, right? Wow.
And he supported his daughter and her meathead boyfriend and later husband. And
today, All in the Family, and I know they redid some episodes, just for, I don't know, views, publicity. I guess they did them live. Woody Harrelson played the Archie Bunker role.
Sure.
They did some other shows like that were successful. This one, I didn't. I think it was a lot of the characters were miscast.
Yeah, they did a Good Times, I think, and some other stuff. Yeah.
Anyway, what I was going to say is, what would that be today? All in the Family, because we're so split as a country. You couldn't have Archie and Meathead wouldn't even talk. I mean, they were at odds with each other, but they had a daughter even sort of holding them together. They wouldn't even be visiting. Gloria would just not come, or Meathead would not come, or whatever. I don't know. Whatever. All right, whatever. We'll get your shit together. This isn't a political show. Okay, look. So this had me thinking, though, 30 years after this came out. Is that, I'm saying 99, 2009. 2019 is 36 years. 36 years later, do we have an answer to this question? So I did some looking around.
Oh, do you have an answer?
Okay.
I don't know that I do, but I'm going to read you some things and we could agree or we could talk about it. According to a Scientific American in 2012, they wrote that if we all thought like women, men and women could almost certainly be friends. But if we all thought like men, we'd probably be facing a serious overpopulation crisis because they'd want more.
That's such an interesting take. Yes.
A study of 88 pairs of opposite sex undergraduate friends suggests large gender differences in how men and women experience opposite sex friendships. Men were much more attracted to their female friends than vice versa. Men were also more, I think this is so funny. Men were also more likely than women to think that their opposite friends were attracted to them.
Yeah.
In fact, men's estimates of how attractive they were to their female friends had virtually nothing to do with how these women actually felt. Basically, it goes on. Basically, males assumed that any romantic attraction they experienced was mutual. That sounds about right, doesn't it? Yeah.
All right.
Whereas the experience for women was the inverse. Women thought, like, I'm not attracted to him, so he must not be attracted to me. So we are friends. I don't want more, so he doesn't want more.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Men were also, this is so gross, men were also more willing to act on their mistaken perception. It's true though, John, it's true. We can be honest. That does kind of happen. The way I am is I know my limitations as a man. So I have this little voice that's like, she doesn't like you. It's like the way you don't know that, You know what I mean? It's like, I don't just act on it. First, look, honey, let me make this clear. I'm not doing any of this now. I'm just talking about once upon a time.
You need to. Yeah.
And actually, you know what? I'll take it even further, but this is a self-esteem issue, I think. I don't expect anybody was attracted to me at all. They'd have to be overt, like, yeah, no, I actually like you. Oh, cool.
Why is your hand there?
Oh,
John, I was
you slipped.
Yeah. I frustrated a lot of women in that regard where they were like, I mean, are you going to kiss me already? I mean, I'm naked, that kind of thing. And I was like, oh, I just thought you were hot, and you needed to take off all your clothes. I did not. I needed a contract, like a consensual, I consent, sign here. You want me to do these things to you, sign here.
And a neon sign, apparently.
Yeah, that's how I was.
I'd like you to point out here on the doll where you would like me to interact with you.
John, I'm tossing out a call back to your playground comment now. As a friend. I
appreciate it.
So
my misinterpreted.
Yes. So I thought, well, look, 2012, that's a long time ago. So I looked at some more contemporary research. In 2025, researchers at Meta, that company that owns Facebook, and New York University analyzed friendships between 1.8 billion adult Facebook users. You didn't even necessarily know that this was happening.
Yeah.
And they estimated the closeness of each connection using a proprietary model developed by Facebook using such things as the frequency of two-way interactions. They turned this into a metric that The Economist, where I got this story from, suggests should be called the When Harry Met Sally Index, or WHMSI, which they suggest is pronounced whimsy. A whimsy score of 0 means men and women are entirely segregated. A 1 means they have an equal number of same and cross-sex friends, and anything more than a 1 means they're chummier with the opposite sex than their own. The country with the most cross-sex friendships is Ethiopia, with nearly a whimsy of 1, meaning that they have about an equal same and opposite sex friends, as I mentioned. The country with the that's most segregated is Egypt. And probably the differences between all these countries is cultural. To what extent their cultures would even allow men and women to interact in a way that's outside of a romantic relationship.
I wonder if in any way they were scanning the context of the correspondence.
Would you doubt it? I mean, seriously, right?
Is it the volume? Is it the number of nudes you send?
Yeah.
Is it what you talk about? Is it right? Am I talking about family or am I talking about parties?
Yeah.
I think that's a real indicator. And I was being a little bit glib about it, but so the context. I have friends that I only talk about certain things to because of our background, so that would be an indicator of, we talk a whole lot. Doesn't mean we're the closest of friends, but this is the friend I talk about this with the most, and they might not have gone that deep, or maybe they did and AI'd it all down to a number, but intriguing to know.
I'm trying to think if I even told Facebook whether I'm a man or a woman. And now with with folks might associate as something different. So how would they even make those distinctions? I don't know.
I think you do when you sign up.
Oh, okay.
And I think you do.
You do. Oh, I don't know.
Because remember, Facebook initially was designed for men and women to rate one another on the campus.
Yes.
Oh.
So you got to think indicating what your sex is when you sign up was part of the DNA of Facebook.
Right.
Because that guy who made it is gross.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
The Facebook.
Anyway, in the U.S., you got an idea. So what do you guys think? Between 0 and 1, again, 1 is equal number of male and female, a 0 being segregated. You don't have any opposite sex friends. What do you think the U.S. scored? And we're talking about fractions of 1. So it's 0.1, 0.2, point. So
it's not 0. And you said it could go up to a 2, or we're just
talking? Nobody scored over a 1.
No. Oh, nobody scored over
Ethiopia was the highest with nearly a 1.
I think we'd be pretty close to a 1. I'd say like a 0.8.
I'd go way lower. I don't know. This is a generalization, and only from my own perspective, of course, but I don't know that many people who have opposite sex close friends with whom they communicate that often. And to top it off, I find a lot of the women that I know in my life have trouble making women friends. They just don't like other women for some reason. You know, it's like they just don't put in the work to be friends. You know, you've heard that weird split where, you know, if women aren't close for a while, they drift apart. And if guys aren't, years later, they walk in and like they never, you know, it's this odd bro out thing where you're like right back in your relationship. So it seems, I'm going to say it's much lower, like around I'm going to give it a 0.25.
Yeah.
It's going to be my guess.
That's interesting.
Yeah, the answer actually lies in the middle of your guesses here, about just above 0.6.
Okay.
Oh, closer to Kat though.
Yeah.
Closer to Kat.
Maybe a little
Which
bit.
means they have more same-sex relationships than others. Because obviously the one would be equal. They still have more, but a little bit less than other countries. A little more, I guess, egalitarian than other countries. But
Interesting.
But according to this piece in The Economist, it does not follow, therefore, that male-female friendships are doomed. And this is in part, as they point out, is because most people can control their urges. Congratulations, folks.
Woo!
In the same way that there are people I would like to punch and don't.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
You may extrapolate that to the nth degree if you like.
Yeah, and this article goes on to point out how important it is to have cross-sex friendships.
Yes.
Including one of the benefits being that you have a more egalitarian society. So how do we get towards, being more like Ethiopia, I suppose, this equal, at least this one, having a 1? They point out that some folks have been exploring things like having kids at a young age do more work with opposite sex partners. So, for example, they did a study in a preschool where they had kids partner up with a buddy. And they were told, the teachers were told as part of this study, to make sure that boys were often paired with girls. And months after the experiment ended, boys who had been buddied up with girls were more likely to play with girls then, whereas the control group, the boys continued to play among themselves. This turns out to be consistent with something they call intergroup contact theory. The idea being that positive interactions between different groups can reduce prejudice they feel about one another. And while it's usually applied to ethnic and religious groups, that sort of thing, it may work for opposite sex folks too.
Why not?
This idea being that, the more you know about what's different, someone who's different, the more you can connect and relate to them. But I don't know that, and that's the conclusion of that study. I don't know that says that the feelings of romance that men have versus women would subside. Now I'm hanging out with even more women. Jesus Christ, what am I going to do here? I got a whole choice now. I got a harem. I got a harem of women that want me. What am I going to do here? I don't know.
Well, what they didn't factor in was hey, when you're doing the test on these boys and girls, maybe the boys are finding out just now the girls aren't icky. They're like, oh, wait a minute.
Earlier.
I didn't catch cooties at all. That was cool.
Yeah, that turns out to be a lie.
Yo, tell your friends, cooties are a lie.
I think the biggest thing out of that probably is this idea that you can control yourself. There was something I read in there also that I didn't make a note of, but something with regard to being a friend with someone who's already in a relationship, where I think it was that women were less likely to consider a romantic relationship with a man who was already engaged with somebody, a spouse or partner, etc. Whereas men were like, that's fine. It can still happen. Men are the problem. In every instance, huh? I don't know.
I'm just saying, tequila exists.
John, I'm just going to say, once again, tossing out any callbacks.
I appreciate that.
You got it, just as a friend. Okay.
It's very
all right, hey. So
did the police arrive yet?
Yeah, I'm stalling them. I think we've traced the call, though.
It's coming from inside the house.
All right. Hey, look, what does that mean? I don't know. Control yourself, men, and try to be friends with the opposite sex.
Yes.
It's good for both of you and the world, turns out. Get yourself an opposite sex friend that your spouse approves of, that your spouse knows about.
Yes.
I'm gonna put an ad in the paper.
Yes.
Seeking female friend, just friends.
Yes. I'm being serious. Just friends. I know what it sounds like by me saying that.
Yes.
Yeah, they don't have apps where you could swipe on opposite sex friends.
Only friends.
Only friends.
Only friends. Instead of OnlyFans, only
John,
friends.
I'm calling off the authorities. That was you saved yourself.
Perfect.
Thank you.
You
There we
saved
go.
yourself.
All right, hey,
There we
let's
go.
get out of here before anything bad happens. That was the show. Let's say that was the show.
No, that wasn't the show. We have a few comments. Did you
Oh,
want to
okay,
say
yeah.
Oh.
right.
Well, it was the show, but I mean,
Yeah.
Wow. Yes. Before you read the comments,
Yeah.
I also just want to point out, I value you, my friends. Although, I mean, sometimes I think of you as brothers,
Yes.
right? So whole extra layer there.
so don't be icky.
Oh, Kat, you just ruined it. Think of me as your brother.
What did she ruin, Will?
Nothing.
Because Will was like, "Yay,
Everybody
it
wants me."
happened. What are you doing, Will? What was ruined?
And I take all
What's wrong
comers,
with you?
John. I think everybody wants me, so you're not safe either, buddy.
The two of you, okay? So-
You said something about tequila that I may or may not have cut out of the show.
All right, get back to the comments.
All right, Mark says When Harry Met Sally is a comfort movie. Love it, yeah.
Sure.
Brandon says, my friend of 20 years is a female, and it is definitely a different kind of intimacy, and romantic feelings did happen on my end at one point in time. It can be a tricky thing to navigate. Yeah, there's probably not a guy alive that hasn't had that happen to, I think. I could think of when I was younger that happening. More than once, But I controlled myself and was able to just be a friend, which at times sometimes sucked when it came to giving them advice about other guys. Brad,
But good job.
totally do it.
Brad says, when Archie thought he was talking to God while he was trapped in the basement, but it was actually his neighbor. A classic episode. Yeah.
Oh my God.
I like that show. I don't know what you, Brad, you mean self-deprecating and low-key macking. Sounds like Will. Is that how
you were.
Oh, it's how you're macking on the ladies.
Oh.
Self-deprecating.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Macking.
Putting the moves on.
Okay. So my move
Coming
was
on to.
to have no moves, I think is what you're saying.
Right. Yep. Self-deprecating. The way you're
That's why
macking
it
was
was
just.
low-key.
I don't think you want
Yeah.
me, even though you're fully
That's-
naked.
I get so hot when people think I don't want them. It's working.
Nick says, "Wow, Brad, I haven't used the word mac as a verb in 30 years." Yeah. All right, so that was the show. All right, Kat, finally, that was the show.
And finally, our show is brought to you thanks in part to our early adopters, Rick Parker and Karen Hager.
Thank you so much.
Yes, and thank you especially to our Secret of Our Success Level Patreon
Yeah.
supporters, Marcus Taylor, Matt Marino, John Henderson, and Brandon Greer.
Brandon.
Yeah. Thank you so much, guys, for continuing to support the show. And these guys that we mentioned, they support us. They and a number of other folks support us monetarily every month, which means they help us pay the bills. Because as you might imagine, because you know how life works, we have to pay people for things in order to be able to bring you this show every week. And these folks make
Increasingly.
it a lot easier to do with their contributions. Hey, you could join them by going to patreon.com/1980s now and find out how you can give us $1 or more. If you can't do that, there's plenty of other free ways you can help the show, including following us on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, sharing posts, just telling somebody, hey, you're Gen X like me. Check out this show of these three Gen Xers talking about 1980s stuff. It's really cool. Or just make a comment or send an email. Do we have anything like that, Kat?
Yes, we do. Actually, we got a message
Yeah.
from our listener patron,
Okay.
or patron, Anonymous.
Oh, yeah. Right. The person who's too embarrassed to use their name, but still somehow willing to give us money. It's just curious phenomenon.
Well, now, leading up to this, didn't we postulate that it was anonymous? They thought they gave us enough money we'd quit. Was what it was,
Yes,
right?
but they hadn't gotten there yet.
That was
Funny
right,
you
yeah.
should say that, John, because Anonymous, who actually gave me permission to say who they really are,
Is that right?
Oh,
gave me this comment.
Okay.
LOL, I just heard Will offer to stop making the podcast for $6 a month.
Yeah.
I would never. But if you do that for $6, I wonder what else I can get you all to do for a low donation.
Yes.
most anything.
Yeah.
Most anything.
Probably most anything.
Think about it.
So thank you,
Very
Lucy.
cool. Oh, Lucy. All right, great. Hey, Lucy.
Oh,
Hey, great to meet you,
Yeah.
Lucy. Your real name. All right.
I like anonymous. I'm sticking with anonymous.
You're sticking with anonymous. I can't wait to hear what anonymous
technology.
asks us to do for a low donation.
Very good. All right. Hey, that was it. For all of you joining us on the live, thanks for being here. You can join us too. That's another way to help support the show on most Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern. Until then, we'll talk to you next time on 1980s Now.
Until next time.
I'll have what she's having.
What is Kat having?
He did just point at me.
I was pointing at the camera. You're just there.